Big Chief, like, hell has frozen over.
So, just for the record, sorry about all that stuff I said about no prep. I wasn't talking about you guys.
The man who spent almost a decade as the voice of Street Outlaws didn't just leave the show, he vanished without a trace for months. Justin Shearer, aka Big Chief, was more than just a racer on Street Outlaws. He practically helped build the infamous 405 list.
We've lost a step racing on the street. It's time to return the list to its former glory.
So when he suddenly stopped appearing on the show, the American racing world was thrown into a frenzy. It's been 4 years, and it still feels like something important is missing.
Everyone out here expected me to fail, but here I am, I'm doing it, and all the haters can go to hell.
What really happened behind the scenes that made him walk away? And what has he been doing ever since he left? Join us as we reveal what really happened to Big Chief from Street Outlaws. Chasing Justin's passion. For Justin Shearer, also known as Big Chief, racing was his passion before he knew what passion really meant. From the age of 9, he had started watching the street races on Old Route 66 and imagining the day he would also boost his own car. His father had exposed him to cars early on, as they would both work on cars when he wasn't training horses with his mother. So when his parents separated and his mom took him and his sibling to Oklahoma at age 12, cars remained a big part of him. By the time Justin was just 16 years old and his mates were in their final high school years, Justin had realized that school wasn't the way for him. He dropped out and did something unbelievable for himself. He bought his first car, a 1972 Pontiac Le Mans, and began grudge racing in the streets of Oklahoma. Now the bills weren't easy, and even his mother was trying hard to fulfill her dream of becoming a nurse. They needed extra help, so Justin would work different jobs, including working at the full-service gas station. Maybe that was his favorite, as he got to admire cars all day long. But no matter how much work he had to do, Justin kept racing and getting really good at it. 10 years later, in 2006, Justin was no longer a teenager going after his dream. He had become a top-tier Oklahoma street racer. When the 405 list of fastest street racers was released for the first time that year, his name was right in it. Still, he kept going up the list until he sat right at the very top as the #1 fastest street racer in 2018. But 5 years before he made it to #1, Discover Channel had discovered him and the OKC guys. After seeing one of their race videos, they knew the whole world had to see them. And that's how the show, Street Outlaws, had its debut on June 10, 2013. So when exactly did this teenager hustler become Big Chief to everyone on the racing streets of Oklahoma? From Justin to Big Chief. No one knows the exact point when Justin became Big Chief, but that nickname was absolutely perfect for the role he played on the show. Right from the very first episode, Big Chief's voice was what the viewers heard when the narrator spoke. He was the face of the show and would guide viewers through the rules, the list, and the street racing culture. Beyond that, Big Chief was also the race master. That made him in charge of settling call-outs and trying to maintain order among the racers. This role usually landed him right in the middle of most fights, like the famous back and forth with Kai Kelly. Even with all these, Big Chief was still an excellent and strategic racer who kept stealing the show with his Pontiac Le Mans for the first few years on the show until it crashed in 2015.
The car is perfect.
Now, most people know the story of how he revived his current car after its own crash. They don't remember the crash of the car he first named the Crow. It was during a race for the show against Brian Davies, and the accident had left him with bruised lungs, broken collarbone, and crushed L2 and L3 in his back. His car was damaged beyond repair. Big Chief had no choice but to let it go. When he chose his next car, it was another Pontiac, but this time, a 1970 Pontiac GTO. Big Chief modified it, named it the Crow, and hasn't looked back ever since then. Even when he had another crash with the car, Big Chief made sure to restore it to a more rugged mod.
We don't normally build cars from scratch. We need to go fast.
By 2022, Street Outlaws had become Big Chief's life and had almost taken his life a few times. Still, the show gave him meaning, being with him as he went through marriage, fatherhood, and even divorce. When it was time to prepare for the 15th season, Big Chief openly revealed that he was excited to reach that milestone with the show. But when the episodes would roll out, something really strange was happening. Another voice was talking about street racing culture, and another face was in charge of the list. Where was Big Chief, and why was he no longer on the show?
What are you doing? Just standing here looking at the car like a weirdo.
I'm talking to it.
What is it saying?
I don't know. I'm just standing here reflecting on the past and thinking about the future.
The breaking point. It wasn't just Big Chief who was excited for the 15th season. The viewers were even more thrilled to see what would happen in the next season, especially since it was called America's List, where the top 5 people would qualify for the list. When they tuned in, Big Chief was nowhere to be seen, prompting them to wonder what had happened to him. At first, there was no exact report from Street Outlaws explaining what happened, so a lot of rumors started going around. Some fans said that Big Chief must have gotten into a fight with Precious Cooper during the first drivers' meeting. They claimed that Precious was probably not happy with the rules, and that had caused an issue with Big Chief. They even said that Big Chief's girlfriend, Jackie, was a big part of the fight. But to many, that didn't sound like Big Chief at all. He was the one who settled quarrels, so it didn't make sense that he would just leave because of one fight.
We are in Madison, Illinois, right outside of St. Louis, and it is the night before the big 32-car invitational race for $40,000. Starting at tomorrow's race, the top 28 racers in the points get a spot.
So another rumor surfaced. This time, it was about his car, the Crow. Big Chief had added a wing to the car, and some thought that when the show had asked him to remove the wing, it didn't sit right with him. But then someone claimed it was more than that it could be that Big Chief never made the top 5 list and was trying to force his name on it when Sean, his co-host, discovered and confronted him. That was a much more serious claim and somehow seemed more believable. In March 2022, Big Chief decided to clear his name and talk about what exactly had happened. According to him, Big Chief said he had gone to the filming and was ready to go. But at the end of the day, a lot of things changed the way he felt about the show. As soon as he got to the filming location in Texas, Big Chief had an issue with Jonathan, also known as JJ Dayboss, over the rules.
I'm going for speed and looks. Hopefully I got enough horsepower, a sleek car design, that I'm gonna just get out from underneath him as quick as I can.
He also said that his girlfriend had an issue with Precious Cooper, but instead of trying to solve these issues, he decided he had had enough. That day happened to be the breaking point of the issues Big Chief had been having with the show for many years. He claimed that there had been times when he had not been happy with the rules or what they were doing, but to keep things as straight as possible, he would compromise. But on that day, Not only did he not agree with the rules, he didn't agree with the racers too. To him, things ought to be kept true to real street racing and be for the best of the show and everyone involved. When viewers watched his video, it became clearer why he had left. But ever since Big Chief walked away from Street Outlaws, has he ever looked back with regret?
Beat by Reaper first round. That cannot happen. And I am more nervous for first round at this stupid race against Reaper than I've been in my entire racing career.
Big Chief's challenges. In the months after his departure, Big Chief didn't just disappear from public view. He stayed active on YouTube and social media. And in those videos, he gave fans something they hadn't gotten from the show in years: his unfiltered thoughts. Believe it or not, Big Chief said that he didn't hate the show. Instead, he was grateful for the opportunities it gave him, the fans, and the chance to turn racing into a career. But he also admitted that staying would have honestly meant pretending to be someone he wasn't. In one YouTube video, he described feeling like he had become a character rather than a racer, as the producers wanted drama. And while he understood why, that was not who he was. It was shocking to hear a strong figure like Big Chief talk about his mental health. Constant travel, long filming days, and the pressure to perform both on the track and for the cameras wore him down. In fact, he soon found himself dreading race days instead of looking forward to them. That was dangerous for someone whose entire identity had been built around the love of racing. It is not like he kept quiet, too. Big Chief explained that he had tried for years to push for changes that would make the show feel more authentic. But those conversations rarely went anywhere. One major point of disagreement was the race your way in policy, which he felt allowed unqualified racers to bypass qualifying rounds, diluting the competition. By the time America's List came around, he realized that talking wasn't solving anything. Beyond the production issues, Big Chief also revealed that his exit was about more than just creative differences. It was about his values. He felt the show had drifted too far from its grassroots street racing roots. As someone who had been street racing since his teenage years on Old Route 66, he couldn't support a version of the show that felt disconnected from the culture that made it popular in the first place. He also opened up about the personal conflicts that added to the pressure. While he tried to keep things professional, tensions with certain cast members made the environment difficult. There were heated moments with James, Reaper, Goad, who publicly called Big Chief manipulative, and, of course, the argument with Precious Cooper that involved Big Chief's girlfriend, Jackie Brash. Despite the frustration, Big Chief has never publicly trashed the show or the people who stayed. In fact, he's been careful to separate the production from the racers. He still speaks highly of many of his former castmates, acknowledging that they were simply trying to make a living like he was. When asked about his former co-stars stepping into new roles, he expressed genuine support. He even said that Murder Nova was the better man for the direction the show was taking. Another thing Big Chief made clear was that money was never the reason he left. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, he was doing just fine financially. He wasn't struggling for wins or facing a losing streak that pushed him out. When a fan asked him on Instagram how it felt to give up everything associated with the show, he replied simply, "I'm loving every single minute of it." So if he was finally free from the pressures of television and had found that peace, what did he decide to pour all that energy into next? And was racing still part of the picture?
And we've had that plan over and over and over again.
I want to kick your ass just like you want to kick my ass.
So our friendship is based on that.
Life after Street Outlaws. While one might not see Big Chief on the television screen anymore, Big Chief is still racing, and racing hard. At about 46 years old, Big Chief now holds the 5th spot on the 405 list and continues to race his iconic car that now runs on small tires. But there's another form of racing that Big Chief now does that surprised his fans: horse racing. It used to be just something he did with his mother as a child. But now, he operates a thoroughbred racing establishment called Big Chief Racing, LLC. His horses have had 112 starts, with 15 wins and over $500,000 in earnings. Apart from racing, Big Chief has been working on other things. He sells branded merchandise through his online shop and engages with his fans on Patreon. It makes sense that after departing from the show, he has focused on building his own brand where he can do things on his own terms. To see what Big Chief does these days, check out his YouTube channel, Midwest Street Cars, where he documents the cars he is working on and the races he still does on the streets that made him famous. He also shares his girlfriend Jackie's races and pretty much the stuff going on around him. It is safe to say that Big Chief now leads a much happier and more peaceful life. Another thing that has stood out since his departure is how different the racing environment feels without him. A lot of longtime viewers have pointed out that Big Chief was a huge part of the show and was one of the people who helped make sure the list even worked in the first place. His roles on the show made his presence very well missed after he left, and because of that, some fans began paying even closer attention to how races were being organized and judged, comparing it to how things used to be when he was still involved. When OG lovers of Big Chief hear Midwest Street Cars, they think of the garage he established with Sean Ellington, also known as Murder Nova. But since they no longer work together on the show, do they still run the garage together?
So we opened up our own business, Midwest Street Cars. We worked side by side to make our cars as fast as they could be. And we helped other drivers.
We rescaled it, changed the suspension.
Who wanted to win on the street as well.
A ride-or-die friendship. On a show like Street Outlaws, it's not so easy to make friends because everybody is trying to beat the other person in races and protect their position on the list. But somehow, Big Chief managed to build a friendship that lasted well into 2 decades. Since the early 2000s, Big Chief and Sean, Murder Nova, had been building and tuning racing cars together. Their partnership wasn't just for television. It started long before the cameras and continued to grow even as the show became popular. Some of the cars they worked on include the OG Modern Nova, the Crow Mod, and several other high-performance builds that became fan favorites over time. They even modified Big Chief's car, the Crow, together in their garage, Midwest Street Cars Automotive. But over time, fans started noticing small changes. The two of them stopped posting pictures together on social media, and instead of appearing side by side at events like before, they began attending races separately. For example, Sean was seen more at pro-mod-style events, while Big Chief focused on no-prep kings and other street-style racing formats. These differences may have seemed small at first, but for longtime followers, they were hard to ignore. It didn't stop there. When Sean began posting more consistently online, fans noticed that the Midwest Street Cars automotive branding was no longer present. Instead, his posts carried the name and watermark of 187 Customs. Naturally, people began to ask, had they fallen out? Was there a fight? Did something serious happen behind the scenes? Another thing that added to the speculation was how quietly everything happened. There was no big announcement at first, just gradual changes that fans had to piece together on their own. And in situations like that, silence often leads to assumptions.
That's the biggest no prep anybody's ever had. And I won it by beating Kai in the semifinals.
Different theories started spreading, with some people believing there had been a major disagreement, while others thought it might have been related to business decisions or even the direction of the show itself. But the reality turned out to be much different from what many expected. The most important thing to understand is that they are still friends. Their friendship never ended. In fact, Big Chief later addressed the situation and made it clear that there was no bad blood between them. He said that they still absolutely love and respect each other, which immediately shut down a lot of the negative rumors. According to Big Chief, the real reason they went their separate ways was that they both wanted to grow in different directions. Over time, it became clear that while they shared a strong history, their individual interests were not the same. In a way, their passions are connected, but in reverse. For Big Chief, the appreciation for old cars comes from how they perform on the street or track. But for Sean, the love of racing comes from the cars themselves, the restoration, the craftsmanship. And because of that difference, it made more sense for them to pursue their goals independently, rather than trying to force a shared direction that no longer fully aligned. Big Chief continued building his own brand around racing, content creation, and performance-focused work, keeping Midwest street cars tied closely to his identity. Meanwhile, Sean moved forward with Phantom, who works with social media branding, to grow 187 Customs into a shop that focuses more on restoration and custom builds, giving him the freedom to fully explore that side of his passion. Even though they no longer run the same shop or work side by side every day, the respect between them has remained intact. They still acknowledge each other's work, and there has been no public sign of conflict, only growth in different directions. For many fans, it is relieving to know that they are still friends, even though they no longer work together or appear on the show. And as time goes on, fans can only hope to continue hearing great things about Justin Shearer, both on and off the track. Do you think Big Chief would ever return to Street Outlaws, or is that chapter of his life truly over? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.